Hello, Balaji.
Good afternoon, Shankara ji. How are you?
Quite well. Namaste, namaskar, Hari Om.
Hari Om, Brother Shankar, namaste.
Namaste to you too, dear. And Hari Om to you and Swayam.
Namaste, Brother Shankara.
Hello there, dear. Good to hear your voice, Haima.
Thank you, Brother Shankara. Me too.
Hello, Brother Shankara.
Hello. Is that Sham? Hello, Sham and Justine.
Hi, Naveen.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. And there's Catherine.
Hello.
Hello, namaste, dear. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Hello, Brother Shankara.
Hello. Who is this now?
Shashi.
Oh, hello, Shashi.
Yeah, I'm here. Namaste.
Namaste.
Still time, I think. Is it 2 minutes?
It's now 7:59, and we'll start at 8:02.
Oh, okay.
Hello, brother.
Akash,
Yes, how are you?
good, well. And you?
I am good as well.
Excellent. It's always good to see the faces and names. It's so good.
Namaste, Brother Shankara. Namaste, everybody.
Namaste, Swayam. Namaste, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
You know, this way of getting together is really quite comforting.
Do you have any updates on when the center is going to open, brother? Or are you-
We'll remain closed through May,
Okay.
but you're welcome to come for a visit if you like.
Yes.
We tend to meet out in the garden with masks on at a distance of 10 feet, but
Okay.
I just had a nice meeting with Anshu today. And so anyone who wishes to come and visit, you're more than welcome to. And for the protection of the rest of the people who live here, no one is coming into the monastery or the fellowship hall. So we meet out in the garden, and it's quite pleasant.
I'll come by sometime in
Good.
the next few weeks.
Yeah, just let me know when it is you'd like to come.
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm going to have to do some self-barbering here since I'm not going to the barber shop. So you may be in for a bit of comedy tomorrow evening, given what it looks like after I finish with my self-barbering. Ridi pagliaccio. Laugh, clown, laugh. Okay, it is 8:02, so we will begin.
We mute our... mute our thing, right?
I couldn't understand what was being said.
I said, do we supposed to mute?
Oh, if you like to say something, unmute, but otherwise keep it muted. Yes, please, dear.
Thank you.
Otherwise, there's this feedback.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beings everywhere. So we're studying the life of Holy Mother. If we remember, after the Master's death, she went on pilgrimage to Vrindavan, and that lasted about a year. And then she took up this kind of spiritual boot camp that the Master had instructed her to do in Kamarpukur, where she was virtually penniless. And the Master had told her never, ever ask anyone for money. So she was, this was as Swami Chetanananda characterized it, an ordeal for her. She lived a very frugal life with torn clothing and so on. But then the devotees and the monks discovered her situation and brought her into Kolkata. And she lived at Balaram Bose's house and Nilambar Babu's garden house. That brings us pretty much up to date here. And the subhead for what we're about to read is Pilgrimage to Puri. The lease on Nilambar Babu's house expired after 6 months. So in October, Holy Mother returned to Balaram's house. After staying there for a few days, she left on pilgrimage to Puri with Brahmananda, Yogananda, Sharadananda, Golapma, Yoganma, and her mother, and Lakshmi. At that time, there was no train from Calcutta to Puri. On 7 November 1888, they took a big steamer from Calcutta to Chandvali, and from there they took a canal motorboat to Cuttack. After lunch at Cuttack, they hired 2 bullock carts, one for Holy Mother and Lakshmi, and another for the other women. The monks walked behind the carts. After arriving in Puri, they visited Lord Jagannath in the famous temple in Orissa on the coast of the Bay of Bengal. And I've not visited that temple, but from everything I've ever heard, it is just absolutely overwhelming. It's an overwhelming spiritual presence. From 9 November 1888 to 9 January 1889, Holy Mother and her women companions stayed at Oh my goodness. Can someone, Kshetrabasi Mat, which Balaram's family owned. The monks stayed in a place nearby. Yoginma recalled, after leaving our luggage at Kshetrabasi Mat, we went with Holy Mother to see Lord Jagannath without even washing our feet. The image of Govinda in Vrindavan is different from the image of Jagannath. Balaram's priest cordially received us and showed the deities. During the first month, Holy Mother and we visited Jagannath every morning and evening, and sometimes we all went to attend the Mangala Arati, the early morning service. And for those of you who don't know, many of you do know, I'm sure, but that takes place at 4:30 in the morning. Mangala Arati takes place at 4:30 in the morning, and sometimes even earlier, but I'm reasonably certain that would be about correct. After attending the Vesper service, that's the evening service, we used to meditate in the Lakshmi temple, which was in the same compound. Rakal, that is Swami Brahmananda, Sharat, Swami Saradananda, and Jogin, Swami Yogananda, also stayed with us in the temple. Balaram's brother, Harivala Babu, was highly respected there, and the priests knew that we were staying at their house, so they made our visit to the deity comfortable. In other words, they extended every courtesy to them. I'm sure they did. Not just because of the relationship with Balaram, of course, that would have been part of it, but also because of Holy Mother's presence. I'm sure that once they had encountered her, they had some very special sense of her. The master, that is Sri Ramakrishna, the master had never come to Puri and seen Jagannath. So Holy Mother carried under her sari a picture of the master and uncovered it before the deities on the altar. Now I'll tell you a little story about that, the business about carrying a photograph. One time, this was rare, Swami Prabhavananda rarely traveled, but he was invited to come to France, to the Gretz Center. And while they were there, of course, they went to Paris and saw the sights of Paris. He was accompanied by his attendant, his sevak, Swami Krishnananda. Now, Krishnananda was an American, a Bostonian, quite a character in his own right. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is that Krishnananda, as they toured France, and most particularly in Paris, he held his hand like this, with a little picture, a little metal picture of the master in his hand. And he would show the master whatever it was that they were witnessing, whatever they were seeing, he would do that. And of course, it was very sincere. He really believed that the master was seeing from that picture what they were in the presence of. So the fact that Holy Mother carried under her sari a picture of the master and uncovered it before the deities on the altar, this is exactly the same thing. Holy Mother believed that a picture is the same as the person it depicts, which is a prevalent idea around the world. Some people don't like to have their picture taken for that reason. Holy Mother believed that a picture is the same as the person it depicts. Later, she described a vision that she had at Puri. I saw Jagannath, a lion among men, as it were, seated on the sacred altar, and I was attending him as his handmaiden. She also saw Jagannath as Shiva. So what a, this is Mother in her universal form, seeing her creation, but seeing it, it's interesting, as a handmaiden, not as the mother of the universe overseeing it all, but as a servant. That was her nature. She also saw Jagannath as Shiva. In Puri, Holy Mother manifested the utmost humility. The main temple priest, Govinda, knew that Holy Mother was the right wife of Balaram's guru, and he suggested that she take a palanquin to the temple from her residence. So he was being, very hospitable with her. But Holy Mother said, "No, Govinda, you go ahead and show me the way. I shall follow you, walking behind like a helpless beggar." Now, this is when we hear these things, we have to understand that this is with the utmost sincerity that Mother is saying this. She and her companions visited all the important temples in Puri on foot. Later, Holy Mother related one of her experiences in Puri. "Once I visited the image of Lord Jagannath in Puri at the time of the chariot festival. I wept in sheer joy to see so many people having a view of Lord Jagannath." Now, what a thought for us to have. Mother with tears streaming down her face in sheer joy, just because she's seeing so many people having a view of Lord Jagannath. "Ah," I said to myself, "it is good. They will all be liberated." But later on, I realized that it was not so. Only one or two who were absolutely free from desires would attain their liberation. When I narrated the incident to Yogin, she corroborated this by saying, "Yes, Mother, only those who are free from desires attain liberation." So Holy Mother's first thought was, anyone who saw the deity would attain liberation. But the instruction to us coming through all of this is that it's not just enough to see the deities. It's not just enough to aspire to liberation through contact with them. We must do the necessary to be free from desires. Holy Mother returned to Calcutta on 12 January 1889 and stayed at M's house for nearly 3 weeks. On 22 January, she visited the Divine Mother at Kalighat in South Calcutta. And again, this is a place I did visit, and it is quite a presence. You really feel that image even before you go in. You really feel the presence. On 22 January, she visited the Divine Mother, Kali, at Kalighat in South Calcutta, and then returned to Balaram's house for a few days. Yogin Ma and Golap Ma saw Holy Mother every day and meditated with her in the evenings. One day after meditation, Golap Ma remarked, "Mother, the Master said, only Ishwara Kotis, godlike souls, Ishwara Kotis, those who accompany Ishwara and Ishwari into manifestation. Only Ishwara Kotis, godlike souls, can have unconditional devotion, not Jiva Kotis, ordinary souls." Holy Mother replied, "Ishwara Kotis have finished all their desires. Because they are devoid of desire, they become recipients of unconditional devotion, prema. Jiva Kotis have innumerable desires, so they cannot have unconditional devotion. We can have bhakti, but until we finish with our desires, prema is an aspiration." It seems that I shall never achieve unconditional devotion, Golap Ma said. Why not, Golap? If you can give up desire, you will attain it. Can a jiva, individual soul, give up all desires? Yes, one can give up desire. That is why one is supposed to practice japa, meditation, and other spiritual practices. The mantra purifies the body. A man, a person, becomes pure by repeating the mantra. Now, this was a refrain with Mother. Over and over, she said this in various circumstances, that the mantra purifies. Why does the mantra purify? Because it contains the spiritual treasure of the master, of the Vorishta, the true manifestation of the divine. So when we repeat the mantra, it purifies the body. A man becomes pure by repeating the mantra. When a man gets rid of desires by discriminating between the real and the unreal, then he does not remain a jiva anymore. He becomes eligible for liberation. Moreover, one can attain unconditional devotion by God's will. So, this woman who was so close to Mother appealed to her, and notice the unqualified response. If we do what we are asked to do, we will achieve the results. By discriminating between the unreal, then he does not remain a jiva anymore. He becomes eligible for liberation. Moreover, one can attain unconditional devotion, prema, by God's will. So those were some pretty loaded concepts and ideas. So before we go on, is there anything anyone would like to say about any of that? Is there anything that you would like to say or ask or remark about what we heard about Mother's experiences and her devotion and what she says about what's possible for us? Anything at all?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, Haima?
I was just reading in one of the books, mantra, mana means mind, tra means tool. It's a tool to purify the mind, like you just said, Mother said, purifies the body. I see the meaning of it. Mana means mind and tra means tool.
Yes.
Tool for the mind.
But it is an extraordinary tool in that it contains the treasure, the spiritual treasure accumulated by the divine being in manifestation.
That's right.
As Swami Brahmananda said, we have the keys to the treasure box. But when people come, what do they ask for? Potatoes, eggplants, and onions. In other words, things of the world. So the thing for us to ask for us to aspire to, is the full power of that mind tool.
Exactly.
And as you know very well as a therapist, there is no difference between the mind and the body. The mind and the body are a unit. Yeah. It's if we educate the body, we can go back to Don Juan Matus's education of Carlos Castaneda. He said, your mind is too dense and too stupid for me to educate your mind. So I had to educate your body. But by doing that, he opened up his mind.
Yes.
So it's very good comment. Anything else from anyone?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, Swayam.
I know I have asked this question before, but it's still good to have some reassurance periodically. Uh, when we do the mantra, I mean, obviously the attention is not always on the mantra.
Mhm.
So even a mechanical repetition of the mantra will eventually get us there.
Yes. As you know, we've been hearing a lot about Balaram. While the master was still alive, he was at Balaram Bose's house one day, and Balaram Bose's father was in the habit of constantly telling his beads. No matter what he was doing, he was he had his beads, and he was making japa. But it wasn't with much attention. And so Sri Ramakrishna remarked, "Oh, Balaram's father," he said, "he will achieve, but for him, what should take a year will take a year and a half." And of course, this is what the difference between with attention and not attention. But that's very apt, what you just said, yes. Even, and mother absolutely, unconditionally says this is true. That it's good to repeat the mantra even if you don't have full attention on it, even if your mind is not concentrated. Because the mantra, being Shabda Brahman, being Brahman in the form of sound, does have an effect. You know, we are, though we don't look like it, we are beings made of vibration. And so the vibration of the mantra counters and slowly transforms the vibration of our being, our body-mind complex. So it does it even if we're not attentive. But it's better to be attentive, of course. Better to be focused. So that's the reassurance. And you're right, it's good to be reassured. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Yes.
Brother Shankara, this is Justine.
Yes, Justine.
On this matter of selling eggplants and potatoes and onions, this is something that doesn't just occur in spiritual life. I've been teaching in an independent art school for 8 years.
Yeah.
And I'm offering my students the opportunity to surpass their limitations, master their craft, learn things that I know they're capable of. And I've never once had a student take me up on it. All they want are eggplants, onions, and potatoes.
Well,
It becomes exhausting.
Well, of course, yes, and that's one of the reasons that Swami Brahmananda made the remark. Not that he was exhausted, but that it made him sad. It made him a little impatient that people didn't see, that they didn't have ears to hear and eyes to see with. So it's not a surprise, Justine, but someday, if you keep it up, someday you will find someone who will come to you and they will want the fullness of what you have to offer. I think you can count on that because you have it to offer. So keep on keeping on.
Thank you.
Hey, Brother Shankara, I have one question.
Yes, Sham.
Each Swami gives a different mantra, and there are hundreds of Swamis giving different mantras. So how does it work?
Are you sure?
No, I mean, in general, a lot of Swamis give different mantras. So how does it work?
Are you sure that the bijas that are contained in those mantras are always different? I don't know that for a fact, Sham. And I've been with them for 40 years. And if they give different mantras, it's because of the nature of the devotee that they're giving it to, or devotees that they're giving it to. The spiritual treasure is contained in all of the mantras, in all of them. So it's easy for our calculating minds to try to pick holes in these things. and this is not an accusation, it's just a natural tendency with us for us to think about these things from a critical perspective. Nothing wrong in that. It's just something short of taking a stand for what Holy Mother, the Master, Vivekananda, and the Swamis themselves say. Do this and it will have the result. So when one takes a stand for that and says, I don't know it yet, but I'm going to believe them and act based on what they've said, then we achieve the results. I think many of you have heard me tell the story of when Swami Swahananda received his brahmacharya. He received his brahmacharya along with another young monk, and the other monk asked the president, well, you've given me instructions. What will happen if I don't follow those instructions? And the Swami was quiet for a time and said, well, what would have happened will not happen. The corollary to that is, if you follow the instructions, what would have happened will happen. So it's good for us to use our minds. This is manana. But it's also good when we reach a certain point to say, all right, I'm going to surpass my doubts. I'm going to leave my considerations behind, and I'm going to take a stand that these swamis, these great spiritual masters, a Holy Mother, they're telling me the truth. I'm going to take a stand for that. And I'll do my work for some years and see if I don't achieve the results. And it has to be for some years. Brahmananda was very clear about that, 2 to 3 years. So it's not a trivial thing, being given a mantra from someone in the apostolic succession. And of course, there are many mantras available from swamis in other lineages, and I know nothing about that. I don't pretend to know anything about that. For that matter, I don't want to know anything about that. I am a follower of Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, and their apostles. And I believe in what they tell me and act accordingly. Very good question, John. There's no two ways about it, that these concerns do arise in our minds. We have to find a way to set them aside through discrimination and say, what the great ones tell me is more powerful than my doubts.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? This is all very good. This is exactly what this is all about. This isn't just a reading here. This is instruction from Holy Mother and from her life. So let us learn from it by learning from one another. All right then. The next subhead is a visit to Antpur. Matangini, Premananda's mother, asked Holy Mother if she would be interested in visiting her country home in Antpur. This is Premananda's ancestral home. Holy Mother agreed. The devotees were excited to go with her to Antpur, and they planned to go to Kamarpukur with her as well. On 5 February 1889, Holy Mother left for Anandpur with Matangani, Krishna Bhavani, Yoginma, Golapma, Lakshmi, wow, what a party. Yogananda, Saradananda, Nirmalananda, my goodness. M and Tulsi Ram Ghosh, Premananda's elder brother. Vivekananda, Premananda, and Vaikunta Sanyal were already in Anandpur. So those three had gone on ahead. When Holy Mother's luggage arrived, Vivekananda carried it with great joy and playfully pretended to be a horse, making Mother smile. This is something that we don't get to hear enough about, Swami Vivekananda's playful side. He had a wonderful playful side. Matangani was a wealthy woman and also a devotee of the Master. She and her sons were delighted to be in the company of Holy Mother and the Master's disciples. It was a truly festive occasion. After spending a week in Anandpur, Holy Mother left for Kamarpukur with Lakshmi, M, Golapma, and Shardananda by bullock cart via Tarakeshwar. After staying for 3 days in Kamarpukur, the party returned to Calcutta, leaving Holy Mother there. It's just of passing interest to note that the Ramakrishna orders was first organized on Christmas Eve at Anandpur, at Premananda's ancestral home. It was on Christmas Eve, I think 1889. I'm not good with dates, so don't hold me to it. If anyone knows for sure, say. But in any event, that's when Vivekananda gave everyone vows. That was their first. It was more or less informal, but he really talked to them about Christ and about leading the life of course, you have to remember that during his wanderings, he had carried, throughout India, he had carried 2 books with him, the Gita and Thomas à Kempis's The Imitation of Christ. So this was just very much in his mind, the life of Christ as a sacrifice, as a way of being of service to the world, being completely self-abnegating. Yea, up to giving your very life for the establishment of Dharma, re-establishment of Dharma. Holy Mother's return to Belur. In February 1890, Holy Mother returned to Calcutta, and the devotees rented Raju Gomasta's house at Belur for her. The house was on the bank of the Ganges, which made Holy Mother very happy. She loved to take a bath at 3 o'clock in the morning in the Ganges. This was one of her habits when it was possible. The house was on the bank of the Ganges, which made Holy Mother very happy. Holy Mother went to M's house at, oh my goodness, can someone pronounce that for me? Balakrishna, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Well, what is that word? M's house at?
Kambuliyatola.
Kambuliyatola in Calcutta on 4 March 1890. At that time, she remembered that the Master had not been able to perform the funeral ritual for his departed mother because he was a monk, and he had asked her to offer a pinda, the traditional sacrificial cake, at the feet of Vishnu in Gaya. To fulfill this wish, on 25 March, she asked Swami Advaitananda, she and Swami Advaitananda went to Gaya. On the way, they stopped at Deogar and saw Vaidvanath Shiva. I think that's right, Vaidvanath Shiva. After performing the ritual to Vishnu in Gaya, she visited Bodh Gaya, where the Buddha attained enlightenment. When Holy Mother saw the wealthy monastery in Bodh Gaya, the pitiable condition of the master's disciples came to her mind. She tearfully prayed, and this is, please just hold this in your hearts. This was the major turning point for the order. She's going to, as the mother of the universe, she's going to do something. When Holy Mother saw the wealthy Buddhist monastery in Bodh Gaya, the pitiable condition of the master's disciples came to her mind. She tearfully prayed, "Master, my children do not have a good place to stay. They do not have sufficient food to eat, and they roam from door to door begging. I wish they could have a monastery like this." Her prayer was answered in 1898 when Swamiji established Belur Math after returning from the West. And for any of you who've ever visited Belur Math, you can see it's really quite a remarkable place. It is it is a good place to live. Sure, any place in the Ganges Delta now is beset by pollution and other things, but it is a good place to live, and they have healthy food and good medical care and so on. On 2 April 1890, Holy Mother returned to Calcutta. At that time, Balaram was critically ill, so she stayed with his family to help them. The master was very fond of Balaram and his wife, and their house was his Calcutta residence. Now and then, he spent the night in their house. During his life, he spent the night in their house, and of course, you can imagine that because he was always near Holy Mother, he was with her then too. Now and then, he spent the night in their house and ate with them. After the master's death, Balaram took care of Holy Mother and the master's monastic disciples. Balaram passed away on 13 April 1890. Holy Mother consoled his family and stayed with them until the Shraddha ceremony was performed on 13 May 1890. Holy Mother at Gushuri, G-H-U-S-U-R-I, Gushuri. Toward the end of May 1890, Holy Mother moved to a rented house in Gushuri, which is situated between Sikla, no, that's not right, Selkia and Belur. Thank you, Balakrishna. The house was on the western bank of the Ganges and near a cremation ground. Yogin Ma, Golap Ma, Swami Yogananda, and Swami Trigunatitananda stayed with her. By this time, you can see Mother had companions and attendants, and the monks were constantly being supportive and seeing to her needs. So Yogin Ma, Golap Ma, Swami Yogananda, and Swami Trigunatitananda stayed with her. The house was very small and quiet, and there were not many activities or visitors, so they spent their time practicing japa and meditation and sharing stories about the master. One day, Golapma talked about the master's love for Balaram. She recalled how the master had passed nights in Calcutta at Balaram's house, enjoyed his food, and danced in ecstasy in his parlor during kirtan. And this is one of the things that you can experience if you go there. Now the Balaram's house is in the possession of the order, and you can actually sit in that place where the master himself took food and danced in ecstasy in that parlor. Then Holy Mother recalled a vision that Ramakrishna had. The master saw Balaram wearing a turban and standing by the image of Kali with folded hands. Balaram always remained with folded hands in front of the master. He did not bow down to the master and touch his feet. Knowing what was in his mind, the master would ask, "Balaram, this foot is itching. Could you rub it gently?" Immediately, Balaram would send for Naren, Rakal, or anyone nearby and ask him to massage the master's foot. So you can see the master teased Balaram about his reluctance to bow down. If you remember very early in the gospel, Sri Ramakrishna teaches M about the proper way to salute a holy man. Then Golapma explained why Balaram would not touch the master's feet. The master remained always in an ecstatic mood and sometimes in samadhi. At that time, if any impure person entered his room, he would groan like a person groans in pain during a nightmare. Then Ramlal, Latu, Naren, Rakal, Balaram, or whoever was there in the room would say, "Let us all go and sit outside. The master is feeling discomfort." When everyone was outside, the groaning sound would stop. The sensitivity of the master to what was going on inside others is beyond our grasp. He would say that he could see into people like seeing into a glass case where dishes are kept. And he would feel their impure thoughts. And when he was in an ecstatic mood or in samadhi, they would actually afflict his body. Sometimes he would have to bathe his body or bathe parts of his body with Ganges water because of it. Let us all go and sit outside. The master is feeling discomfort. When everyone was outside, the groaning sound would stop. Although Balaram was humble and was a humble and pure Vaishnava devotee, he did not want to risk causing the master discomfort by his touch. But we noticed that the master teased him and invited him to actually touch him. So it's the play among these people we don't understand. One evening, a baul, a minstrel, was passing through the street singing this song. "Have you seen my Nimai going through this street? His body complexion is golden, and he is walking with a monk." As they listened to that song, Yogin Ma asked Holy Mother, "Mother, what kind of complexion did the master have in the early days?" Holy Mother replied, "His complexion was like the color of gold, like that of Harital, a yellow mineral. It blended with the color of the gold amulet that he wore on his arm. When I rubbed him with oil, I could clearly see a luster emanating from his entire body. People were wonderstruck when they saw him. walking with slow, steady steps to the Ganges to take his bath. Holy Mother's voice was soft and sweet. Her words were short and simple. Yogin Ma described Holy Mother's manner of speaking. While talking about the Master or about japa and meditation, Holy Mother would stop from time to time, as if she were visualizing what she was going to say. At that time, her look was vacant, and her mind would merge into a mysterious realm. Now, this business about the Master's color, Mother remarked that people were wonderstruck when they saw him. That became such a thing because he was emanating this radiance that he actually asked Kali to withdraw it. And she did, and he became, you could say, more ordinary in coloration, more ordinary as a Bengali of his village and place and so on. But so he actually did ask Kali to withdraw that radiance and that golden color. At that time, Holy Mother's look was vacant and her mind would merge into a mysterious realm. Golap Ma and Yogin Ma were amazed by Holy Mother's ecstatic moods whenever she spoke about the Master. One morning in July 1890, Swamis Vivekananda and Akhanananda came to receive Holy Mother's blessings before leaving for the Himalayas. After bowing down, Vivekananda said, "Mother, I shall see you again if I become a real man. Otherwise, I now say goodbye forever." "What are you saying?" the mother interrupted. No, Vivekananda assured her. "I shall soon return through your grace." Holy Mother said to Akhanananda, I am handing my treasure over to you. You know the conditions in the Himalayas. Please see that Naren does not suffer for want of food. So she gave some money to Akhanananda to make sure that Naren didn't go hungry. Golap Ma gave the monks some prasad and asked Vivekananda to sing for Holy Mother. Vivekananda sang this song. I have made thee, O Lord, the pole star of my life. No more shall I lose my way on the world's trackless sea. Whenever I wander here, thy brilliance shines undimmed. Wherever I wander here, thy brilliance shines undimmed. With thy serene and gracious light, thou drivest all the stars, all the tears. With thy serene and gracious light, thou drivest all the tears out of my troubled soul. Then he sang a song from a play by Girish Ghosh called Vilvamangal. He, Krishna, travels holding my hand. Wherever I go, wherever I go, he follows me, even if I don't ask him to. He wipes my face with great care and intently looks at my face. When I smile, he smiles, and when I cry, he cries. How lovingly he takes care of me. And if you want to read more about this kind of relationship with the divine, I tell you, read that book, Love Poems from God. Because this, let's hear that again. It's we must never put the Lord on a pedestal at a distance from us. We must never, ever do that. He is, as Swami Prabhavananda would say over and over, with the most, I wish you could hear his voice as he was saying it. He would say, he is nearer than the nearmost. He is dearer than the dearmost. He, Krishna, travels holding my hand. Wherever I go, he follows me, even if I don't ask him to. He wipes my face with great care and intently looks at my face. When I smile, he smiles. When I cry, he cries. How lovingly he takes care of me. Holy Mother, blessed Vivekananda, wherever you go, the Master will be always with you. Mother Durga will protect you in the mountains and forests, in trials and tribulations. Now, this is somebody who could make that promise. She served lunch to Vivekananda. And this Mother did always. She wouldn't allow Golap Ma or Yogan Ma to do it. No, she did it herself. She served lunch to Vivekananda and Akanananda, and then they returned to the Bharanagore monastery. Vivekananda informed his brother disciples that Holy Mother was well taken care of by the Master's women devotees. This was a great relief to all of them. Holy Mother stayed in Gushri from May to the middle of September 1890, when she contracted dysentery. Golap Ma and Yogan Ma realized that though it was a wonderful place to live, it would be difficult for doctors to come from Calcutta to treat her. Golap Ma wrote to her son-in-law, Raja Mohan Thakur, and asked him to find a place in Calcutta for Holy Mother. He replied that he had a vacant rental property in Bharanagore, and she and Holy Mother could live there rent-free for an indefinite period. In the third week of September, Holy Mother moved to Bharanagore with Golap Ma, Yogan Ma, Yogananda, and Trigunatitananda. A doctor was engaged, and Holy Mother soon recovered. She then stayed with Balaram's family until Durga Puja. How are we doing for time? Okay, it's 8:54. Again, we have some time here. Is there anything you'd like to comment or ask or just say about all these wonderful things we're hearing about Mother, her life, her relationships with these other holy people who are part of our lives? I mean, Vivekananda, so on. Anything at all?
It reminds me a story what Vivekananda talks about.
Yes.
About a 5-year-old boy, and the mother is taking care of him, but she doesn't know who is the father. And mother wants to send him for the school. The teacher asks him, "What is your father's name?" My mother did not tell me. So they accept him, but he has to walk every day through the forest. So all the other kids, they have their own servants and all those things. They used to accompany them and all this stuff. So he asked the mother, "What should I do? I get so scared to walk in the forest." Then mother says, "No, you have your brother there in the forest. Just call him and he will come and he will walk you through the forest."
Yes. That's a beautiful story. Yes.
And this is Vivekananda used to say that story.
Yes. And, this is, again, instruction for us. Don't be separated. Don't be alone. Call on the divine. Over and over, the stories and parables tell us there's no reason to be separate. There's no reason to be alone. In the dark forest of the world, we can call on our brother. Sweet, sweet story. Thanks for recalling that, Balakrishna. That is a wonderful story. Anyone else? All right, we'll read a little bit on in Holy Mother in Jairambati. Now this is, as we know, as things wore on, as time wore on, Mother established herself with residences in both Jairambati, her home village, her native village, where she loved it there. She felt very comfortable there. She could be unveiled there. She could be herself. She behaved in so many ways just like a simple village woman there. Holy Mother in Jairambati. Holy Mother left Balaram's home in October 1890 for Jairambati, where she lived until July 1893. So that was 3 years, almost 3 years, from October 1890 to July 1893. So she was establishing herself there. This is, we can see this. She was staying there long enough to arrange a situation where she would be able to return. And she did that. She spent roughly half her time in Kolkata, where she said she lived like a bird in a cage in that Udbodhan house, finally, with it Saradananda established for her. But, and she felt free in Jairambati. She was fond of Jairambati because she could move about freely among her neighbors without wearing a veil. In Calcutta, she wore a veil most of the time when she was with male devotees and disciples of the Master. She lived like a caged bird in the houses of the devotees, where she followed all the formalities and always had to be mindful of what she did. Remember, the Master taught her to be so careful about these things, to be so mindful of people's feelings and their way of life, and adapt to the way of life where you were. But of course, this was a limitation. And so she loved it in Jairambati, where she was freer. She lived like a caged bird in the houses of her devotees, where she followed all the formalities and always, I'll tell you a story about Vivekananda. When Vivekananda came to Los Angeles in 1899, because of his fame and so on, he was immediately taken to the house of a wealthy woman where he was living. And when he asked the Mead sisters if he could move to their place, he said, "Oh, I have to leave this place. This woman is too much of a lady. She expects me to dress for every meal and follow all the formalities." So this is what Mother meant by living like a caged bird. She had to, in South Pasadena at Vivekananda House, Swami Vivekananda sometimes wouldn't get out of his bathrobe all day long. He'd get up in the morning, take his bath, get into his bathrobe, and that's how he would spend the rest of the day. And of course, the Mead family just loved him and didn't expect him to follow any formalities. She followed all the formalities and always had to be mindful of what she did and said. She did not have much freedom. In Jairambati, where she was born and brought up, she felt relaxed. When she was in Calcutta, she always pined for the rural environment, fresh air, vast meadows, and the open-hearted conversations with her neighbors that she enjoyed in the village. So we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that for tonight. Mother establishing herself in Jairambati. And she needed that. Oh my God, the responsibilities that she shouldered, not only for the Ramakrishna order, really they didn't take any decisions without consulting her. about opening facilities, about doing things. She would go and inspect things, like she went to Varanasi to inspect the Sevashram there when that was opened and so on, and gave it her blessing. She actually left I believe it was a 10 rupee note, which they still have framed there. She had such responsibilities, not only for the order, but for many, 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 many disciples. And of course, she was constantly making japam for her disciples, not for herself, but for her disciples. And she did that most conveniently and sweetly at Jairamati. Asato ma satkamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya, abir boiti. O dearly beloved, lead us from thy lesser truth to thy highest truth. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of thy wisdom and love. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through. Light us through and through with thy everlasting, shining presence. Any final comment or anything to say from anyone?
Isn't that Vivekananda went to Jairamati to get the permission from the mother before he left for West?
No, actually he wrote a letter. But yes, he wrote to her. He was in South India, and he wrote to her asking for her permission. And I think he did go and see her before he actually left. But he wrote for the permission before he came to see her. And I think when he actually saw her, I think when their actual meeting before he left, that took place in Calcutta rather than Jairam. I could be wrong about that. We'll see. It'll probably mention it here. But I don't remember specifically. I remember he did meet with her, but in asking for her permission, he wrote a letter. And she enthusiastically granted the permission, saying, yes, go, yes, go. Good question. Anything else?
Hello, Brother Shankara.
Yes, yes, Shailesh.
I don't remember. Is there any account of Swamiji visiting Jairamati? I don't remember anywhere.
I don't believe so. That's why I say I think
this meeting obviously happened at Calcutta at Udbodhan or someplace, I don't know, maybe at Balramji's house. But even later on also, I don't know if he went to Jairamati. There is
I don't remember that either. That's why I was saying I never trust my memory to 100% about these things anymore. But
Shankara, I won't agree with that.
Say it again, Bala.
I said I won't agree with that.
Okay.
Regarding your memory.
All right, dear. But nevertheless, I agree with Shailesh. I don't remember any event, any time that Vivekananda came to Jairamati. So I know that he saw the mother a great deal in Calcutta, and he particularly when he brought with him Margaret Noble's sister Nivedita, and introduced her to the mother, and was so overjoyed with the mother's response, and we'll hear about all that. It's just such sweet stories. Vivekananda and the mother, and Nivedita and Josephine MacLeod Tontine, and the other devotees that Swamiji brought with him to.
But isn't it surprising that Swamiji did not visit Jairam Bhatti or Kamarpukur?
Well, nothing surprises me about Vivekananda. I mean, yeah, it seems that it would seem that way, Sham. You're right, but we have to remember these are not ordinary people.
Yes.
Like when Mother was asked, well, maybe it was Golap Ma or Yogan Ma, one of the two of them, said, Mother, all the boys come to see you, but Rakal never comes. And she said, oh, Rakal, whenever I wish to see Rakal, he appears before me. So, these are people of extraordinary capabilities and powers. So what we know about what actually happened and what may have actually happened, there's a lot in the oral history of the order that isn't in any book. I'm not saying that there's anything about this. I don't know that for a fact at all. But I will tell you as a little story. You may have heard it already. When Swami Chandrasekharananda was here, the man who's now, the Swami who's now in charge of the Portland Center, I said, Swami, tell us something about Thakur and Vivekananda that isn't in the books. It's just in the oral tradition. And impishly, he impishly, he said, well, the master once remarked about Vivekananda, he is related to me on my in-laws' side. Now you talk about leaving you with a koan, a puzzle. I've been calling that to mind ever since, whatever that possibly means. He's related to me on my in-laws' side. So, a great good night to all of you. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga.
So much.
Good night.
Until tomorrow evening, if you care to join us for that class, we'll pick up the Gita. All right, good night, everyone.
Good night.